Okay, I'm going to invite Senator the Honorable Camillo Gonsalves, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Commerce and Information and Technology, to give us some brief remarks.
Hello, good morning. Very grateful to have this opportunity to sign this agreement with my friend Galo Andres, mi amigo, mi compañero, mi hermano, who has traveled from where he's stationed in Guatemala to sign this agreement with the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he will move on to sign a similar agreement with the government of Grenada. And it is a manifestation of Ecuador's commitment to its solidarity with the people of this Caribbean region, and also with the developmental and political struggles that we face very often together on the international sphere. Ecuador and St. Vincent and the Grenadines have a long history of friendship and cooperation, but the friendship and cooperation has intensified in recent years when we both became members of the Bolivarian Alliance for Our Americas, ALBA. And very often when we think of ALBA, we think of President Chavez, of blessed memory, who was in many ways a visionary behind the establishment of ALBA and its growth and strength. But Ecuador has been a firm and staunch member of ALBA as well. And Ecuador, as you know, is one of the largest producers of oil in South America, I believe after Venezuela. And Ecuador is a large producer of bananas, and it's a history that we have shared in the production of bananas. And Ecuador has had a number of struggles, both recent and prior to that, with colonialist and neo-colonialist powers that have sought to exploit Ecuador's wealth for corporate benefit rather than the benefit of the people of Ecuador. And President Correa has had a fundamental belief that the state has a role to play in the development of the people of the country. And very often the neoclassical model is that the state should get out of the way, that as little as the state can do is the best thing to do, and let private interests and private entities carry forward national development. But very often, if you get out of the way entirely, you leave the space open to rapacious and predatory corporate interests that do not have the interests of the people at heart, but the interests, of course, of their shareholders and bondholders and what have you. And President Correa has taken some very courageous steps in his national context to ensure that the very abundant wealth of Ecuador is used first for the benefit of the people of Ecuador. And it was a bumpy road in some points. It was a struggle. But there are many lessons that we can learn here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines about the way to optimize the balance between the public and private sectors, and to recognize that the state, the government, has a role to play in national development. And properly managed, the state and the private sector can be wonderful partners, and we can multiply our relative strengths for the benefit of the people. Ecuador has been at the forefront of issues related to sovereignty. Many of you have heard about the Julian Assange case. But beyond that, Ecuador and President Correa have been staunch defenders of sovereignty and the equality of states, whether large or small. And that is a belief that we share with the people of Ecuador. President Correa and Ecuador have been very much on the forefront of advancing a South-South view of cooperation and development, that we must tell our stories from our perspective, and we must chart a course of development that is based on our view and our experience, and not have these things dictated to us by people who, however well-meaning, may not understand our context as well as we do. And Ecuador has been at the forefront of that struggle to have a South-South perspective. Ecuador, despite being an oil producer, has been a champion of sound climate policy. And as we sit and watch the news about the terrible tragedy that's happening in the Philippines from a hurricane, we have to realize that we are also vulnerable to hurricanes. And there, but for the grace of God, go we. And we have to reach out to countries like Ecuador, because we have to find solidarity internationally to fight the sorts of scourges that I've been mentioning. And climate change is an existential threat to us. And friends like Ecuador can say that the production of oil and care for the climate are not mutually exclusive propositions. And we are very grateful for their continued solidarity with us in that regard. PetroCaribe and ALBA has drawn us close together, and it is a coincidence that immediately after this meeting, the Secretary General of ALBA and the President of PetroCaribe will be meeting with Prime Minister Gonsalves in this very same room. But we share a very strong belief in the good that PetroCaribe has done, and more than that, we find a great deal of strength in the solidarity that ALBA has provided as we go forward with our own developmental struggles. There are some in this country who have questioned the value and the utility of ALBA and PetroCaribe. But at this point, I'm not sure that they're anything but a very small minority, because ALBA and PetroCaribe jointly have helped us immensely in riding out what has been the most severe economic contraction in recent history, in the last 100 years. And without the support that we have received, developmentally, financially, from ALBA and PetroCaribe, I'm not sure where St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and indeed the wider Caribbean, because most Caribbean countries benefit from PetroCaribe, I'm not sure where we would stand in the current global economic context. We have these organizations to thank in large part for the continued development of the international airport at Argyle. We have them to thank for a number of people-centered developmental projects, from employment to education. We have them to thank for an embryonic trade partnership that is beginning between St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Venezuela, and other countries in ALBA. We have them to thank very shortly for completing the one laptop per child program, placing a laptop in the hands of every student in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we have them to thank for assisting us with cooking gas. We have them to thank for many times when this government and the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines run into some difficulty, some short-term difficulty, the solidarity provided by our friends in ALBA and our comrades in Petrocaribe has been there to assist us. Now, this agreement deepens what has been a multilateral relationship within ALBA to a very strong bilateral connection between Ecuador and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And what is important, stripped away of all the diplomatic language, is that we have to talk. We have to talk more. And what this agreement says is to formalize and institutionalize that basic concept, that the more we talk, the more we'll get to know each other, the greater commonalities we'll find, the greater solidarity we'll find, and more we'll be able to work in each other's best interests. So I won't read the agreement. It institutionalizes how often we meet and at what level we meet and the sorts of things we will discuss. But really it's saying we are good friends. We have been friends for a long time. Our friendship has deepened by virtue of our relationship in ALBA and Petrocaribe. And now, let's talk. Let us talk like the friends we are. Let us do it regularly. Let us not let distance or language or size come between us, because there's far more that binds us together than that separates us. So this agreement is one that I'm very happy to be here to sign. I'm very happy that the ambassador has come to sign it. And in my view, it's worth a great deal more than the words that are written on the paper. It is a first step to an even deeper connection with the people of Ecuador and, by extension, the people of Latin America, with whom we have a great deal in common, with whom we hope to trade more effectively in the future, and with whom we stand in solidarity on a wide range of political matters. So I'm very grateful that he has come here today. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and hopefully it is the first step in a growing and fruitful political, diplomatic, and trading relationship. Thank you very much.